And so
All right,
now,
y'all.
coming up, we have Mr. Ron Wilson, and he is about to advise us on investing in crypto. How you doing today, Ron?
Well, how you doing?
Oh, good. You sound so much better this time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. I'm in an office now, so apologize for the echo. I don't know if it's like an echo chamber or not.
It's not actually echoing. If you could just talk just a tad bit louder, that would be
Okay.
good.
How's that?
But we got you nice and clear this time. Last time when you was in Belize,
Right. Yeah. That darn smart network is not what we have here, like Verizon and Spectrum. Their infrastructure is good, but it's just not. We get used to what we have and maybe forget that we have that top-rated network. So glad to be back in the country and ready to talk some crypto. What's going on?
all right. Well, you go ahead on. I'm gonna turn the mic over to you.
Oh, okay. Well, I think the last we spoke, we were kind of just doing a brief introduction into crypto. I think I mentioned a few things, a few items that I didn't keep track of. So I'm actually going to do that today, where I keep track of what I advise. Last week I was out the country, or a couple of weeks ago I was out the country, so I really didn't have the preparation and the tracking that I need for just to sort of do this every 2 weeks and kind of keep you guys abreast of what's going on. But let's just go down the rundown. This is not sponsored by anything, but I do use CoinGecko, the website, to do a lot of tracking on assets and whatnot. So today on CoinGecko, the way I kind of approach looking into crypto is that I usually just bring up a tracking portfolio similar to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, and then just bring up the big board, kind of show what the current market cap is. Looks like the current crypto market cap has surpassed $3.1 trillion.
Wow.
For more of a comparison to other assets. Gold, I believe, is the highest right now at about $10 trillion as far as a single asset, not the entire, the entire metals category, but just by itself, gold is the highest current asset at $10 trillion. So we can roughly say crypto as a whole, and this is including every asset, including Bitcoin and all the larger ones, is just surpassed the 3 trillion mark. So
wow.
that in itself is a huge accomplishment for crypto, because when you look back at, I think it was in 2017 when the market surpassed the first trillion. And so just in 3 years, it's basically tripled in size, which just speaks to the institutional buy-in and then the buy-in from the people. I know with a lot of the conditions that we've had to live in the pandemic, people haven't really had a lot of spare money, but with the stimulus checks and things of that nature, that money has been constantly flowing into crypto. And that's a trend that we don't see ending. And that's kind of what you want to look at. So when you first kind of start your day, you want to kind of look at, okay, what's the overall market? Because that's the business we're in crypto. The entire market kind of has an impact on what we do. So when I see 3.1 trillion, that lets me know money's flowing in. These are the good times of crypto. So this is when you take advantage. You find those low cap or those high cap gems that are being undervalued, and you make an investment. And then it's just the patience game that we have to play. I know Xavier was mentioning how Cardano was really kind of throwing you for a loop there, but I think you saw this week where it kind of took off, right?
Yes,
and then
I
it
did.
did a little retracement. So that's kind of what we mean, is that, it's just about getting in at that right entry point and moving forward. But back to the big board, I showed that we just surpassed the 3.1 trillion mark. We're a little over $184 billion for the 24-hour trading cap. So that in itself is huge. I noticed I personally kind of keep an eye on that. So yesterday it was about 20% less. So it looks like we got a huge jump or a huge dump into quite a few assets. The Bitcoin dominance is just over 41%. So for people who aren't familiar with crypto and kind of are just entering, you always want to keep an eye on what Bitcoin's dominance is on the entire crypto asset category, because as it starts to lower, what will happen is all the other assets that are being invested in, they will start to gain traction on Bitcoin. And so as the number one asset in crypto, Bitcoin currently encompasses 41% of the entire market as far as the market cap is concerned. And so I believe Ethereum's coming in second, right around 19, it's usually between 15 and 19%. And then there's all the other coins that you would have. And so When Bitcoin's dominance is going up, that lets us know Bitcoin is rising. That's the time to maybe get in there. And then when it starts to come down, that's when you want to start paying attention to when you want to start investing in other non-Bitcoin type of assets. I know we hear the term altcoins a lot, I know, which is short for alternative coins, but any coin that's not Bitcoin is technically considered a altcoin, or they used to call them like shit coins. And so, and the reason they call them that because everyone just held Bitcoin at such a high standard. Well, now that the altcoins have moved away from the shitcoin category and they're starting to actually get some traction, now they're just considered altcoins. So when you hear the term altcoin, you can basically consider that any coin that's not Bitcoin.
Okay.
And with that said, our current tracking shows that there's 10,580 total coins. So in
Wow.
the entire asset class, there's roughly about 10,500 assets that you can invest in. We try to keep you within the top 1,000 or not.
Wow.
We do delve into those lower 5,000, 6,000s because we like the low cap gems. That's where you can really get some life changing wealth, but we don't advise beginners to start investing in low cap gems. As you start to advance in your knowledge, as you start to grow, you'll get to that point where you can actually start looking into those because it's a high risk factor. You really have to keep an eye on those at all times.
When you say low cap, what does low cap mean?
So the market cap is usually what dictates the value of an asset. I know everyone sees the price of Bitcoin and thinks, wow, that's the greatest thing on earth. But what really drives Bitcoin is the market cap. Right now, I'm showing Bitcoin's market cap at $1.28 trillion.
And what exactly does that mean,
mentioned,
the cap? What does the cap mean?
Well, overall, that's the liquidity or the money, because I'll break it down into just money terms. That's the money that's into Bitcoin. That's what people have invested. So overall, the value of every Bitcoin that has been minted, keep in mind, 21 million will be minted, only 18 million have been minted. But out of those 18 million that have been minted, their value is $1.28 trillion.
Wow. Okay.
So that's an accumulation of every asset if you were to add them all up together. So that's what your market cap encompasses.
Okay.
Now, the price breaks down to just basic economics, the supply and demand. You know, there's 18 million. Of that 18 million, this many people are trying to buy it. So the more that are trying to buy a capped asset, then the value goes up. As we continue a halving cycle, so every 4 years in Bitcoin, and this is just a quick rundown of how Bitcoin works, the mining portion of it is halved. So if they're able to mine 10 million, or I'm just to say 1 million Bitcoin the first year, the next year they're only able to mine 500,000. The next year they're only able to mine 250,000. So every year the number of coins minted will get decreased by half. So when you look at the US dollar, we inflate the dollar. We put more dollars in to kind of to keep us at a certain level. Well, with Bitcoin, it doesn't happen that way. There's only a cap. And so that's when that number is halved, now the supply is sort of halved. Now there's only half of what we had last year. So now that makes the demand go up, which in turn, for most people, they see the price go up. Mm-hmm. I would encourage most people that invest in stocks, bonds, anything that is tracked by market cap to stop looking at the price and to start tracking the market cap. The market cap is the number one thing you need to be tracking on any of the assets you invest in. Price is just a good indicator for most people for us to rationalize the value of it. Like we can compare everything to a dollar, like a sucker is a quarter, or this is that. So for our mental, that price helps us. But for most people who track assets, they're only looking at the market cap, and then they look at the percentage of, rise and gain from day to 24 hours to maybe an hour. So they're comparing things of that nature. Price is great. When we need to withdraw money, now we know exactly how much it'll be. But other than that, that's really what that's used for. So yeah, we're down to, 10,580 coins, and this fluctuates. Sometimes we have coins that are added. Sometimes there's some that are removed because there's no activity or no traction. So that number will fluctuate, but the more coins there are, that just lets us know that the crypto is advancing in the minds of people. So everyone's trying to get in on this, and that's great for the space. If you're in the space, this is a perfect time to be in there. So we've kind of done an overview of the entire market, so we can kind of break down and I'll do it because we speak on weekly terms. I'm going to start tracking some of our numbers on weekly terms. So when I look at the 7-day chart, I show a new coin that was actually just presented to us, and we posted, I believe Ray posted that in the group earlier this week. But Kadena, KDA being the symbol, has really done well over the last week. I show it currently at about 237% up this week, and it's up to about $23. So for those who are looking for a great entry point, I saw within the last hour, pretty much in the last day, it's retraced some, so it's come down, which gives a lot of people a great entry point. But Kadena has moved up quite well. I believe I saw it at the beginning of October at around the 100 mark, and now it's already at the top. It's almost in the top 50. So it's a 55. It's number 55 as an asset class coin on the market. But Kadena has been doing really well. Iotx, Iotx, if you're familiar with the symbol, is coming in right behind it, about 169% return in gains over the last week. It actually has 100% return over the last 24 hours. So anyone that got into Iotx over the last day has really done great. You've basically doubled your money in one day. So whatever that initial investment is, you've doubled that in a day.
Wow.
So that was that's a good one to look into. And it's only at 20 cents right now. So mind you, what that tells us is if it has 100% gain in 24 hours, that means it was 10 cents yesterday. And then now it's coming in at 20 cents. And
Oh, wow. Okay.
for people who are tracking that, the price doesn't really matter. What mattered is how much you invested in it. So had you put 5,000 in at 10 cents, today you'd have $10,000 in your account. That's why when we say like the price doesn't really matter, because you have to equate the price to how much value you have in the asset. So that's what's really important when you're looking at it. But then when we're now ready to take our profits, well, now the price, okay, is 20 cents. Now I see 20,000 in my account. I'm going to take that initial 10,000 out, and I'm going to let that 10 that I just made ride and move that other 10 back into some other investments that we're looking at. So yeah, Iotx looking great, coming in at 169 over the week. I'll kind of just stay in the ones that are doing really well. There's quite a few that are over 40, 50%, but the ones tracking over 100% over a week is showing that they had some real good traction over the week. So along with Kadena, Iotx, and there's I guess it's Live Peer. I was calling it Live Peer, but now that I look at it, Live Peer, which is LPT, the symbol, is coming in great at 146% return over the week. And then there's Loopring. LRC is an asset I've actually held for about, I think I bought it in February of this year, but it was literally in the, I believe I got it around 30 cents. And just over the last week, and I would just say the month, this asset has gone from about 30 cents to about $3.30.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I looked in my Coinbase account like a month ago. It was only a couple $100. I come back, it's over $1,000 in there, and I'm just like,
You
oh,
need
okay.
to call me when that's going to happen.
But we'll see. And this is the issue with crypto. This is not a game. This is not this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And so like we tell people, just get in the game, get in the race. And once you take off, now we're going to kind of pace ourselves. There really is no rhyme or reason to when assets are going to pump. But what we do know is that most altcoins follow Bitcoin. So when you see Bitcoin take a huge jump, you hear on the news, hey, Bitcoin did a 3, 4, or 5% increase. For Bitcoin, when you hear anything over 2, 3% increase, that's huge. I know for most people who aren't into investing, they think, 2 or 3%. Well, Bitcoin's you're talking about a $1.3 trillion market cap. So 1, 2, 3% is hundreds of millions. It could be billions of dollars within a day. So when you're thinking of Bitcoin and you hear these sort of sounds like small increases, those are actually huge for Bitcoin. Now, if you're dealing with other assets like a Cardano or something, 2 or 3% is not a huge bump. When you hear 20% bump, that's when you're kind of looking at it. But so just keep that in mind. So now that I hear Bitcoin has done a good job, okay, that's great. Now I'm starting to invest in all my altcoins because I know most altcoins are going to follow Bitcoin. So you'll kind of see Bitcoin jump up and then start coming down. Well, what's to follow is those altcoins are going to do that same jump. That doesn't mean all of them are going to do it, but if you stay in line with good projects that have history, so we're sort of at the end of a cycle which began in 2017. So this December and January will be the end of that cycle. That's when you kind of look back to, and what we're noticing this year is that all those coins that began in 2017, the Cardanos, the other ones of that nature, they're all taking off now. Well, the good investment for this upcoming cycle are all these coins that are just coming out right now, and they're 20 cent, 9 cent. It doesn't seem like much now, but when we come back to this point come 2025, you're going to look back and you're going to see, oh, wow, Cardano's now $500. Ethereum's now $12,000. Bitcoin is $200,000 or close to $500,000. It's gonna seem like, well, I'm too late. It's not that you're too late. It's just that you have to put aside time, money, and just your mental approach. You have to give yourself time to sort of plan this out, and then you have to wait. And I understand for most people, waiting is the toughest spot because we're kind of taught, YOLO, you only live once. You got to know, we actually live a long ass time compared to most generations that have been before us. So, outside of you getting hit by a bus or a train or, COVID impacting you, I know these things are serious. I don't want to joke about those things. But the reality is you're 9 times out of 10, you're going to be around a while. So you need to make sure that you're preparing for that time when you're not able to work 40 hours a week or, your health won't allow it. So that's sort of what I'm doing. I personally want to retire by the time I'm 50. And I think over the next 6 to 8 years, I could probably do that. I think 55 is more realistic. But my goal, I always set almost unachievable goals so that I can keep pushing myself. But that's my goal. And if I can, in crypto, I think in this space, I can definitely do that because I've had an excellent entry and return this year.
Man, I need to get that one good hit.
Well, one good hit's going to take time. We just saw the gentleman who invested 8,000 into Sheeb. It took him 400 days, but in that 400 days, he turned $8,000 to what is it, $5.4 billion.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that's a meme coin. That's what we used to call shit coins. Where like most people that are really into crypto don't really pay much attention. They may throw a few thousand into it and then just forget about it. But their goals are on the Cardanos, the Ethereums, the Solanos, like the real big projects. So they're really investing because for them that's the Google, the Netflix, the primary top corporations in the world. Mm-hmm. So that's where you want to do. So I would just tell people, I usually stay maybe 40 to 50% in the top 100 coins. And then I start to, as that percentage drops down, I invest in more, riskier projects because that's where you're going to get your true wealth. If you have a whole Bitcoin now, you may get some wealth out of it, but you're not going to get the 6, 8, 9,000% returns that you would on something that's 10 cents or 10 zeros behind the decimal. I mean, it's just not possible because you're late on those. But I do always advise people that you pull your profit and you put it in Bitcoin because Bitcoin is our store of value. Just over time, it's going to continue to increase. So putting your savings account, so to speak, that's all your profit into Bitcoin is always going to be a good investment, unless you're investing in things that are just outperforming Bitcoin. And that then leads us to the next topic is starting to look and track assets based on how they're tracking compared to Bitcoin. I don't know. Do you videotape this so that if I share my screen, they can see?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Let me share my screen for a second because I do want to just show the public this. I would be the IT guy that can't find where the option is to share my screen. Like I'm looking like the old guy. Like how to turn the camera around.
The gray in your beard too, right?
Yeah. Now, this gray, believe me, police officer, it's a pass, believe me. Everyone wants me to get rid of my gray, but for me, no one bothers me. The kids, yes, sir, me. And
right.
The cops look the other way, so I don't get harassed.
Because you're not even 50 yet, are you?
No, I'm 44. But what happens is if I cut this beard, people will be like, "Oh, now you look 34." Like I really look young without facial hair. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see the option. Here we go. I don't know why I didn't pick up my screen right away. I have literally so many screens open, so sometimes it doesn't show. But yeah, let me share this one here. So that would be that. So let me know when you can see my screen.
I see your screen.
Okay. So again, no self-promotion. We like CoinGecko. They have quite a few more assets than a coin market cap. So that's something you just want to keep track of. But what I was mentioning is sort of following Bitcoin. So I'm going to bring up Caden. That was that first asset I brought up today with the highest performance, this 237 over the week. As it loads, it's going to start showing us. And what you'll notice on most of these sites, they always compare the assets to Bitcoin. So what you'll see is maybe a green line for the asset, and that orange line is usually always Bitcoin. In this case, I'll take it off just to verify. But I believe, yeah, the orange line was Bitcoin. So the main asset is in blue. The orange line is Bitcoin. So as we're seeing, and
It definitely follows Bitcoin.
And right. So as you see, it's actually, Bitcoin was actually earlier in the week following it. But as you noticed, Bitcoin surpassed it about on the 7th of this month and kind of kept pace. Now it's tracing Bitcoin. So overall, when you look at this, what does this tell you? You know, like just looking at this, which asset should you be investing in? If you were to just look at this chart and not really have an idea of what this means, but just out of the blue, should you be investing in Caden or Bitcoin?
I would invest in Caden right now, I think.
Well, no. What this tells us is the opposite. The opposite is you're not looking for assets that perform like Bitcoin, because if that's the case, why in the hell aren't you buying Bitcoin? What you're looking for are for assets that super outperform, like where it's really just obvious. You're like, whoa. So let me bring up Solana. And I, not even knowing what it is currently, I can almost guarantee it's going to show you how much it's outperforming Bitcoin. So let's bring this one up.
Okay, so if it is trailing or right along the way,
now look
Bitcoin,
at this.
You would do Bitcoin.
Look at the difference.
Okay.
Look at the gap.
Okay.
See, this is like, and now recently Bitcoin just surpassed it, and this may have been, because this is an hourly chart. Yeah, this is one day. So this is just over the last couple hours, Bitcoin. But overall, let's bring up the 7-day so that we can take a look. Yeah. Let's give you a month. Let's give a 90-day, which will give us it should give us a lot of separation. So what we see here in the last 90 days is Solana actually hasn't been outperforming. I don't know what I was looking at made me think it, but you know, Bitcoin between August and October outperformed Solana. But then Solana, it took a pump here. I think that would be on the 30-day that we can see it a little bit better.
But Solana is less expensive, right?
Correct. So Solana currently is at, as you see here, $239 per asset, with about a $630 or $69 billion market cap. So the dominance, and they're comparing this to Bitcoin. So instead of Bitcoin's 41%, Solana's market cap is about 2.38% of Bitcoin, which is great. I mean, it's more of a newer asset. Bitcoin's been around since 2009. So Sol has actually done great, as we see from here, from this point on, from November on to today. So basically this month, it outperformed Bitcoin. And we can file, but ultimately, when you look at assets, and as you'll see, most websites compare them to Bitcoin, if they're running and tracing neck and neck with Bitcoin, it's probably in your best interest to just invest in Bitcoin as you start. Now, you know, because the reality is what we know is Bitcoin is not going anywhere. Solana is probably not going anywhere, but it doesn't have as much of a stamp on the mind of people. Bitcoin is like the king. And if you're not outperforming Bitcoin, then you probably are just best suited. And these are for early investors, people just getting into the field. I do know Sheev outperformed Bitcoin. This is one I could probably show you.
So
it's almost outperformed every asset.
You're saying that it would make more sense to invest in Bitcoin if it is trailing each other. However, let's say I'm investing $500. So $500 of Solana, I don't know what you said, it was 2 something or whatever. I guess I could get 2 whole coins or whatever you would say.
Correct.
But in Bitcoin, I would only get a percentage of something. So wouldn't it be more feasible?
But look, if it's trailing, if it's following Bitcoin, does that $500 go up any more for Solana than it would for Bitcoin?
Mm,
Or is that 500? So if it's performing the same way as Bitcoin, that $500 doubles. If Bitcoin doubles, it doubles. If Solana doubles, it does. So it's basically the same. That's what we're saying. But we're saying Bitcoin is a better asset overall.
okay. Okay.
I see what you're saying about owning more, but if you own more, that doesn't change the amount of money you have. It's
Okay.
just you have, and see, that's what we're trying to get you out of that pricing thing, because
Okay.
that makes you think, okay, well, I have two Solana compared to just a percentage of Bitcoin. Well, as we see, Bitcoin is 40% of the entire market. So which is more value? That $500 in Solana or that $500 in Bitcoin?
I guess in Bitcoin.
It's probably more, it's more stable in Bitcoin. Let's put it that way. So that's like comparing $500 in a peso compared to $500 in a US dollar. And I know that's probably a horrible crypto example. Most people in crypto hate fiat anyway. But you get the idea of comparing a peso to a US dollar.
Yes.
Around the world, it's just seen as a more powerful tool.
Right.
So that's the idea. So when investing, and especially during this bear market that's about to come, I would like to advise people that, you know, when we look at this, and I'll go back to the homepage so we can just kind of take a look at the overall market cap. We're about to enter a bear market. So what that lets us know is that probably right now is not the best time for most people to get into crypto. Your good entry point is going to be about this time next year. And it's because we're at all-time highs. We went from 3.1 trillion just now. And you see how this market fluctuates. So we just dropped about 1.7%. We're at about 22.9 trillion now. But that's just the market and how it works. But if your plan is okay, I have money right now, I need to, you know, I want to start investing it so that it's not just sitting up. There are alternative ways to get into the crypto space. As an example, say you have $20,000 and you say, I want to invest that. Well, we know a bear market's coming in, so it probably isn't wise to take your 20,000 and let's just say, for instance, put it in Bitcoin. It may go from 20 to 40, but once the bear market comes, this is what we can't predict, is how much it's going to drop. And so that could literally take your 20, and it may not drop. We don't know, but history has shown us after this halving cycle, which just occurred, that there's going to be a significant between 50 to 80% drop on the entire market. So with that said, it's like when you got into ADA, you got into closer to $2, and then it drops down to 150. It's like, do you want to get in at $2 or do you want to just wait, be patient, and get that 150? So that's the point we're at this year. All the people that got in the beginning of this year, now we're reaping the benefits at the end of this year. But it's not a good point for beginners to come in right now, because what's going to happen is they're going to get wrecked. And then now they're going to look at crypto like, oh, it doesn't make, well, no, you just came in at the wrong time. And so our advice is just to hold off, maybe put your money in a stable coin like USDT. So I can buy $20,000 worth of USDT. It's a stable coin equivalent to the dollar. So I get 20,000 USDTs with my $20,000. Now, with that $20,000, I can stake that or loan it out, and I can get up to 20% return on just that stable coin. Because what's going to happen is once the market starts crashing, people are going to be selling out assets, and they're going to need stable coin to sell it into. Because that's what you do. If we know Bitcoin's about to drop, I have $100,000, I move it to a stable coin. If Bitcoin drops, my $100,000 is still $100,000. Now, when it drops, I can use that to go buy in at that bottom, and now I haven't lost any value. Had I kept it at that time, I would go down with it and then just go back up with it. So most people like to get out at the top, move to a stable coin, stake that until it's time to get back into Bitcoin, and I'm collecting 20% interest on it, and then I just move it back. So those are more of some of the things we're recommending, and this is not financial advice, but what we're going to do is we're moving our stuff to stable coins. We're going to start yield farming. We're going to loan it out basically for others.
So when
to
you
use
say
to do
stake
other
that, when you say stake it, what does that mean? You said stake it and you're still getting 20%.
I misspoke on staking. Staking is like staking a Cardano or a Bitcoin. So that's staking an asset. With stable coins, it's more like yield farming or lending out money. So you're basically making yourself a bank with your $20,000, and then people pay you interest to borrow money.
And how do you do
the
that?
Difference is, well, there's different websites that do that. So I mean, you go into like Binance or some of the larger, they have the options for liquidity pooling. That each site has a different term for it, but it basically does the same thing. You put up the money, they hold it like a bank, you use it, and then they just pay you interest back into your account. So
Oh,
it's basically something you don't have to monitor. You're getting that 20% regardless. You may not be making the gains you would on an asset, but you're also not losing while the entire market crashes. You know,
okay.
and mind you, stable coins do fluctuate, so it's not going to always be $1, but they fluctuate between 95 cents and $1.05. They usually stay right at $1, but they have that 10% flexibility.
Okay.
You know, it's usually 95 cents when what? There's too many stable coins available. There's usually $1.05 when there's not that many. So what this bear market is going to be, so if I get in with my 20,000 and I'm getting, 20% return, once this bear market hits, my 20,000 might actually go up a little bit because it's gonna trace up above $1. So it may get up to about $1.05. Now on top of the 20%, I'm getting a little extra for the value of the stable coin itself because there's just not that many. Everyone's trying to sell out and hold off until the bottom comes. So like I said, there are so many routes to make money. I was talking with some gentlemen yesterday. I went to go purchase something for my car. And I literally spent about 2 hours, like just because they understood, they had a little bit of crypto knowledge. And so we started talking, I started talking to them about this liquidity mining and this pooling of funds. And they're just like, man, I just never knew. I told them, we have a funding method that we do sell on the Run BTC platform. That's not something that we're just giving away free because we actually have to pay for it. But we do have a funding option that you can. There's a few steps you have to take to do this, but we're pulling like off of. I think I have $4,900 in one account, and I'm making between $40 to $95 a day off of that.
Oh.
So yeah, and it may not seem like much, but for me, I'm trying to have that. I'm trying to be like a Jamaican. I want to have multiple streams of
I
income
agree.
coming in from different
I
places.
got a little Jamaican in me too, man.
Right. We actually successfully, so
too.
this is something we can brag about. Our Run BTC group successfully started mining our first, we're mining Raven coin, but we just started that yesterday. So we have our money printer getting at work right now. So it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making money for us. And there's just so many different ways. Now we did have to invest some money to buy the equipment to do this, but it's an investment. So we're taking profit, moving into that, taking profit. And then our goal ultimately is to start taking profit and moving into other actual businesses that people are familiar with, like trucking, real estate, things of that nature that make more money so we can do what? Buy more crypto. And just keep flipping. It's like pancakes. We're just flipping. We're flipping this dollar to that. At this point now, our compound interest is sort of taking over for us. So we don't really have to continue to put much money into this at this point. It's just taking profit and moving into another asset, taking profit, moving to another, and we're just constantly taking and moving. Tracking it, awesome. That's a whole nother story. It's a lot of assets, it's a lot of money to track. So that's the main thing, but we have 3 people doing it. So it definitely makes it easier.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. Yeah. And you said last time when you did the show how you guys came up with this, but of course your audio was really crappy. So how did you guys get started doing this thing again?
Well, it began, and so it's sort of like 3 steps to this. The first step was that a cousin of mine, Raymond, who's one of the admins with our Run BTC group, he began mentioning Bitcoin to me, I would say around 2015, 2016. At the time, I'm working for a financial company, so they're obviously making great investments for us. So I was pulling 15 to 20% returns at the time. And for me, if once you got a nice chunk of change being invested, that 15 to 20% is a nice return. So I really wasn't interested, but he kind of just stayed in my ear constantly. Well, 2018 comes, my company gets sold. I then start looking into other fields. Mind you, this whole time he's still in my ear. What about crypto? What about crypto? You're in IT. Why aren't you thinking about this? So it was just like over time, I started seeing what was happening in crypto. And then I was able to calculate, had I done this in crypto then, how much I would have missed. So I've already calculated, like, from me truly understanding what crypto was to now, I probably lost well over $500,000 in just based on what I could have invested. So I've invested in classic cars and like all this other junk that's not making a good return like this. So that was enough of a lesson for me. You know, I don't know what others have to lose or not profit from to see what we see, but we're in what's going to be considered probably the largest the largest transfer of wealth in mankind's history.
That's what they
And
predicted. Mhm.
I encourage, especially the people of color, and that's what we created the group for, was for the space, because there are other groups that they've been familiar with crypto. They understand the technology, they understand the concept, they understand where it's going. But in our community, we're usually working so much or so inundated with just things we have to take care of. We don't have time to truly sit back and think about what's next. We're usually in the moment. Like, I got to pay my bills, I got to eat, I got to get some sleep, I got to get my kids to school. People who have wealth, they have time to not think about those things and to start thinking about, well, what's going to happen when I pass? You know, what about that generation? What about my great grandkids? What about my great great grandkids? You know, so with that time that they're allotted, and just the moment of clarity to kind of see, as well as the money to invest, they've seen this. Well, what I've noticed is a lot of us just don't have the time. And when I try to approach us with it, it's like, yeah, I'll get with you. Just let me know. I'm gonna have with you. But people are just too busy. So what we're trying to do is provide a platform where people can go to on their time frame. When they have a few minutes, they can go to the site, look at an article, or maybe read some of the things we post, look at a video, do something, and it just starts exposing them to what's available out there. I think even with this type of show, we're going to start doing a weekly show. I think it's going to be on Sundays, so it's going to be like a weekly recap, and we'll definitely bring you on too to help bring some exposure to both platforms. But that's going to be our goal, is just bringing those who don't have the knowledge and don't have the exposure or the understanding. We're going to take it from the basic level, make it like, you know, I'm not going to say cliff notes, but it's just going to be in layman's terms. So when a person comes in, they'll have an understanding, because I think I have a good ability to kind of break things down using different analogies, you know, and I think that's when people truly understand. Because when I tell a person, like just last night, I'll go ahead and just disclose, I'm going all in on AMP. AMP is an asset I think I did mention last week. It's on Coinbase, which is the largest exchange in America. But it's just an asset that I truly see for myself doing real well. And so when I say I went all in, I'm looking at, so my plan for this, and I'll just expose this entire plan to everyone. I want to pull a $20,000 profit from AMP, let's just say within the next 6 months. So I figure, how am I going to do that? Currently, AMP is at 6 cents. Its all-time high is 12 cents. So in order for me to pull a $20,000 profit, I need to figure out a way or I need to figure out an entry and an exit point to AMP. So my entry point yesterday evening was at 5.9 cents, roughly 6 cents per asset. So I figure if I need $20,000, how much do I need to invest and where am I exiting? If I'm entering at 6 cents, I need $5,000 to invest. And with that $5,000, I then need that coin to go from 6 cents to 28 cents. Because if it goes from 6 to 18, I've tripled. I have 15,000 from 18 to 24. Actually, it's 30 cents. I'm sorry, I said 28, I think, but it's 30 cents. So at 24, now I have 20,000, and at 30 cents, I have 25,000. So I can pull the initial 5,000 out, and now I have my 20,000 profit in AMP. So that's what I mean about just having a plan. Like, you say you like to invest in the stuff that's under $1, and I get why, because you get more of it. But I can see me being able to flip AMP faster than me putting $5,000 into Bitcoin. So Bitcoin right now is at $60,000. So if I put $5,000 into it, I need Bitcoin to now go from $60,000 to 200 and what is it, $40,000 in order for me to actually, I needed to go to $300,000 to pull that same return. I don't see Bitcoin hitting 300,000 in this cycle. It will eventually, but within the cycle of the 6 months, I see AMP doing it. I don't see Bitcoin going from 60 to 300,000 as opposed to 6 cents to 30 cents.
So let me ask you a question for, those who as you spoke of the average person who is living in the moment. So if you have someone that's kind of living in the moment, that's got a lot of stuff going on, and maybe only has a couple $100 to invest, that they feel comfortable, well, I don't, if it goes bust, I'm not gonna, it's not gonna change my life.
Right.
So what if they had a couple $100 and they wanted to, make a good hit on it? What would be the investment?
Well, it's not necessarily what would be the investment. What I would ask is, what are you trying to get out of that? Let's just say 200. Let's just leave it at $200. They have $200 to invest. So my thing is what type of goal? How much do you think you want to make off that $200? What would make you be like, damn, that's great?
Well,
let's just use you as an
let's
example.
just
You
say
have $200. How much do you want to make?
1,000.
Okay, so you're trying to, in crypto terms, you're trying to 4 to 5x that return. Because 4 or 5 times is the 1,000. So actually,
okay, 4 to 5. Okay.
So you want to do a 5x. So what you want to look at is, okay, now how soon do you want this to occur? Because this also ties into how fast you can do this. Let's just say, are you giving yourself 90 days? Are you trying to do this in 30 days? Like, what are you trying to do? Or do you have time and you say, I can do 6 months, like I was saying?
6 months can work too. What about by Christmas time? What is Chris? How far is Christmas away?
That's under 60 days.
Well,
so the shorter the time, the riskier the asset we have to go for. And these are all the things that go into that mindset. But at least you have the two things you know. I have $200 and I want to get $1,000. Great. Now, me and you are going to haggle over how soon do you think you can get this, or how much risk do you want to apply to get this? If you need it by Christmas, we're going to have to be hella risky. If you need it by, let's just say, what is that? That would be April of next year, which is 6 months. Then we can be that we can almost close to be certain that you can do something like that.
Okay, and so then what would what coin would that be?
But the riskier asset would then take us to a lower cap, correct? And then when I'm thinking lower cap, what was the strategy that I was mentioning on the previous call that we go? When we're looking to make quick gains, we have to look at what's making quick dips. So I'm not going to what did the best over, because currently the list that I'm showing you guys is, hey, this is what did the best over the time. Well, I'd have to flip this. So let me flip this one if it lets me. And now I'm gonna flip it from looking at what did the best to now I want to see what did the worst over that time. Right?
Okay.
So do you see that on the screen, how now I flipped it?
Okay, yep.
Okay, perfect. And for me, I'm already starting to see assets that really pique my interest. Like, okay, especially if you're trying to do something quick. What I would first, and let's just say now I'm the one doing this, into the investing part, because the first thing I start looking into this topic is, because now these are the ones that did the worst. Then I look at the market cap. Which one has the highest market cap? And I say, okay, Polkadot looks good, but Polkadot's at $45. Like, you know what? Its all-time high is I think over about 70. So I don't really think that's going to do make that type of move over that time period. But when I look a little bit further down, I start to see things like Poly. I start to see things like, let's see, this Poly has $11 billion market cap, and Solana. I would probably tend making a move in 6 months off of a Solana and a Polygon. These are two great platforms. Polygon's number 21. Solana's number 5, obviously. I mean, Solana has just surpassed everyone's wildest dream. So it's kind of like a unicorn right now. But between Polygon and Solana, that's a good 6-month strategy, because I can see Solana hitting $1,000. It's currently at $229. So it's an excellent value at its price. But I can also see Solana going from $1.70 to a good $5. And this is kind of what you're looking for if you want a good entry point, because $1 or $2 to $5 is close to that. We really need to hit 7 from, let's just say this is 2. We need to hit 7 to get our 5x that we're looking for. But Polygon has room for potential. So I think it actually came from the 90s to 21 in just a year. So that just shows the growth of the asset. So, but as you see, I'm only using the dollar value to kind of equate you to see how much how much you need to grow. I'm not really using the dollar because I have $200. No, what I'm using is market cap. I'm using what, how much it's moved up the chart. Like, is it really moving the charts? Is it surpassing other assets? Is there community backing of this asset? And what I know is Polygon has released a staking platform. They have a website. They're working on so many new things, and people are actually using Polygon. So when I want to send money outside of the Algorand or a few other assets, Polygon has low fees. I can send something to you from Polygon for 20 cents. So you get out your Cash App. It's usually 1.5%. Polygon is probably 0.2 or 0.3% on that withdrawal. So that's sort of another benefit. So because I know Polygon, that would be something I bank on over the next 6 months. And mind you, this can occur by December, but I'm also just giving myself some wiggle room to be able to hit these target points.
And so what platform would you buy that on? Because that's always my other issue.
Well, Polygon has their own network, so that's great. It's great you asked that, because I want people to start understanding this, because we get that all the time. Well, where do I buy it? Well, we're on CoinGecko. I want to know where I buy Polygon, so I'm actually just going to click on the asset. Once I click on the asset, it's going to bring that asset up, and this is where you can see the information that you're asking. So you're saying, well, where can I buy it? Well, you buy them from the market. When you see this overview tab, right to the right of it is the markets tab. This shows you a list of where you buy it. So people, if you're on CoinMarketCap, you're on CoinGecko, you're on any of these exchanges, always go to the market to find out where the asset is bought. Now,
Binance.
Right, but now what you want to know, what you want to look at, see, you see this. This is the first thing you see. What you need to be looking at is what the pairing is, because you're trying to buy Matic. Well, that's great, but what are you using to buy it? We usually use USDT, which is, cash, but there's usually different pairs. You can use Bitcoin to buy it on HitBTC. You can use, sometimes you can use GBD, so on Coinbase. So the pairings are different. And as you see, you can almost buy it anywhere. You rarely see a list this long of places you can buy an asset. So this lets you know that this is a well-accepted asset if it has this many exchanges that offer it.
So you can't buy it on Binance though, right? Because it says USDT. Right. What is USDT?
That's Tether. So it's a stable coin. USDC is a stable coin. But they're just different companies that provide that stable coin. Tether is backed by half money and half assets. USDC is backed by all money. So they just have different structures. You can buy it with the euro here. So I mean, that's what the pairing.
Buy with the dollar too. I see down there on line 26. It says USD.
Well, no, that's the USD. That's an actual. That's not the dollar. That's an actual crypto. That's a stable coin. USD is a stable coin.
Really?
But and then what you also see is the price is different on different sites. So if you're trying to buy it, where do you want to go? You want to go where it's cheaper. If you're trying to sell it, where you want to go? You want to go where it's higher. So that kind of dictates where you buy and sell it too. So because you can send it from one exchange to the other if need be. For such a small fee, it may be worth it, depending on how much you're moving. But yeah, for me, I'm looking, if I'm buying it, okay, Binance is 171. Depending on how many buying, that one is not going to make a difference. But if I'm buying $1 million worth of it, I definitely want to go where it's cheaper.
Right.
I know Crypto.com has the highest fees, so these are all the things that you really want to look into. I'd probably just buy it at Binance. But if you're familiar with Matic, you can go to the Matic network itself and buy it from them directly. So instead of going to the Fed to buy US dollars, I'm going, directly to Mexico to buy pesos or whatever. So you always want to go directly to the source. But otherwise, Binance is always a great choice. They're the largest exchange in the world. I know Coinbase is the largest in America, but Binance by far is the largest exchange in the world. So they usually have almost every asset. It's rare when you can't find an asset on Binance. But yeah, so now I have it at Binance, but I have other options. So depending on the exchange you use, I use Gate, I have Crypto.com, I have FTX. I got pretty much most of these. Yeah, so I could buy it anywhere.
That would get confusing for me. I want to stick like with Binance.
Yeah, just stick to what you have.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you just stick with the one you use. And now I do recommend not keeping all your eggs in one basket. That may be something we can touch on maybe on the next call.
Okay.
There are different options of tools you can use to store your crypto. But I just stress to people that's the one con. There's pros, all the benefits, the money making, that's the pros to crypto. The one con is that you're in charge of actually doing the work and protecting your crypto. So one of the ways to protect it is with this cold storage device. You probably have to keep it in front of me so you can see it. This is a Ledger Nano X. They have the Ledger Nano S2 model. This is just the bigger one. It has more apps on it. So this is like a bank in theory. This is my entire bank. So I can have every asset I own within this. If
Wow.
you don't have this device, you can't gain access to anything. So if you log in and crack my phone, you do a SIM swap and do all this stuff. If you don't have this, which authorizes withdrawals, you can't get my assets. Now, keep in mind, I don't have every asset on here, but I have the big dogs on here. And it's normally not a wise idea to tell people you even have this, because this lets people know that they can use what they call the $5 fix, which is they'll go to the hardware store, buy a hammer, and just use a hammer to beat you upside your head and take this.
Oh, no.
But if they don't know you have this, then they don't know where your crypto is. This actually is one, and I bought about 5 of these because I bought some for my kids. This is one that hasn't been used. So in theory, I guess everyone does know I have one now. But the reality is the one that I have, you'll never find that. It's put away in an appropriate spot that'll never.
Well, nobody knows where you are anyway.
Again, whether you find me or not, you have to find this, but that puts you susceptible to that $5 hammer, if you're walking around with your entire bank in your pocket, but we don't, this is just a new one I'm gonna set up for my son so he can put his stuff on there. And then you put this up, so you'd be at a safe deposit box, wherever you decide to put it. But then you store this somewhere well kept, and then if you need your assets, you just go get it. This will allow you to authorize it. It has a Bluetooth access, so it can connect right to your phone, and then authorize transactions. So I really only put the huge chunks of assets I have on here, not the stuff I'm playing with and trading with and stuff like that. But this is a good source of having it. They have other means. They actually have companies that will store them for you, which I don't recommend. I recommend everyone taking control of their own money. But there are some that, there's just extenuating circumstances that, you just may not trust yourself and you want to let somebody do that. So there are a number of ways to store them, but this would be the most secure, and it's considered a cold storage. The hot storages are the exchanges. They call hot because there's a threat. Someone can break into a website and steal crypto. It has been done. They've figured out ways to recover it. There's certain assets they can't steal. They can get them off the exchange, but they can't really use them. So they usually just give it back. And then they get a reward for giving it back. But yeah, the cold storage is something that I did want to mention on the last meeting that we had, because it is very important that people understand how much risk they have with their crypto when it's on an exchange. There are a lot, people, they're just smart people in the world that know how to do things, and for anything that's on the web or anything that's technology related, there's always a back door. So with that said, the programmers have to find a way. They get locked out, they have to get back in. So that's what people find are the back doors to different technology. And fortunately, crypto has been very good at getting on top of that so that you can protect yourself. They've had enough examples of people having to take and lost their passwords, things like that. So just keep that in mind when you're getting into crypto. You are now in control of your assets.
Okay.
The bank, that's why they don't give you that much interest, because now something happens to the bank, you have insurance. So they up to $250,000 per account. So they'll give you back something if it's lost. But in crypto, outside of somebody being kind and sending it back to you, it's gone. So that's the one con, and that's something we stress to people, because there are ways to avoid that, but most people are just worried about making money. And as you start to make more money, you will be concerned with protecting that money. And there are ways to go about that. We'll be explaining those in detail on some of our weekly calls. We're going to touch on literally everything when we start having our weekly call, but it's just getting exposure to the space, getting people comfortable with taking a little risk when you see the type of rewards that can happen. If you play the lotto, and I just tell people, because I see people all the time in the store, and I ask them, I'm like, are you familiar with crypto? And they say, well, why? I'm like, well, you're buying a lotto ticket that you have probably one in a trillion chances of winning compared to investing in something that, because I know people that invest quite a bit of money in the lotto. I'm talking $200 a week.
Yeah,
So this,
I
this
know
is like
people like that too.
$800 a week, and you've won maybe $8,000 over 20, 30 years.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not a wise investment.
No.
Because when you add that up, you've invested at least $200,000 into the lotto system, and you've only pulled $8,000. Now just
Yeah, that's
imagine putting
crazy.
200,000 in, yeah, putting 2,000 or 200,000 in Bitcoin 10 years ago. You would never look at a lotto ticket again in your life because you'd be filthy rich.
Man, I
But
have a friend that actually got into Bitcoin back in 2009, and he
right,
actually mentioned it to me, but at the time, it was very new, and so
yeah,
I
it was
wasn't
new.
really paying attention. And he's doing he's real happy right now.
You think. And I'm sure because he was in so early, he sold out a lot that he now looks back and says, I could have waited some more. But at the time, no one knew that this would be what it is. So
Right.
you really can't look at the losses. You have to look at that as a lesson.
Yeah.
And those are lessons. And he's still in.
Yeah, he is.
If he has at least 10 Bitcoin left, he's set for life.
Yeah.
Because once Bitcoin hits $5 million each, yeah, he'll be set.
He's good.
So
yeah, we're actually past the 2 o'clock. You really gave us a lot of information today. If you could stop sharing your screen so I can see my screen now.
Let me bring that up.
You really did a great job. I guess we will have to actually share your show. It is going live out on the radio. Your replay will probably actually be a live replay where I will share the link with you as well as post it on my page, because this is radio.
Right. So you can't see everything. I get it.
Yeah,
I just wanted you to kind of see.
But because we do record the show so that we can do replays like over Thanksgiving and holidays, and I have a few days already set for the shows to replay because some of them are just really good and I want to replay them. I'm going to replay your show, but you know what I'll do is I'll let you replay your show first, wherever you want to replay it, and then I'll replay it after you replay it.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, so maybe you might want to put it in your group. You might want to give the name of the group, Run BTC, right?
Run BTC. Yeah, it's right here on my name too. Run BTC.
Yeah.
If you search that hashtag Run BTC on Facebook, you'll definitely be able to find it.
And they can also find it on my website, xavierfox.com, because you are, of course, listed on the radio show page. And I believe you mentioned Run BTC in your bio. And if they join the group, the Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox, you can surely post something there. That may be where I run the show, is in the group. That might be a good place to run it. So do you have any final words as we wrap it up here?
I do. I would just like to impress upon people who always have, and I get it, our communities haven't always had the opportunity or the money to invest. So we really just don't have that in our DNA. But it's time if nothing else, at least start educating our children on different things and different ways to look at this. I truly believe the next generation of children are going to be fully invested in crypto, because it's going to be in their games and all that type of stuff. But I would just say, just open your mind a little bit, because, and I understand, people work their whole lives to save up money and to, make it to where they're comfortable. But there's a difference between being comfortable and then also being comfortable within yourself and being able to help others. So for those who would like to help others, I would just point you towards crypto, because if you've been able to on your own make a way for yourself, imagine being able to make a way for the next 5 to 10 generations. And that's what the opportunity crypto is presenting to us at this time. So if you have questions, feel free to come to the group and ask. We try to be as patient as possible. And we also try to do a little research on our own so that we can then give back to you, not financial advice, but it's just something where we kind of show our plays and say, hey, if you see that what we're doing is beneficial, you can copy and paste what we do. So everyone be well. And you know, our motto on Run BTC is just like our forefather and the prophet himself, Mr. Luther Campbell, say, don't stop, get it, get it. So, you know how we do it.
I love it. Okay, thank you, Ron.
Don't stop, get it, get it.
When is your next show?
We're actually going to try to do our first show.
Wait, hold on. Because every time I ask you that, I'm talking about your next show on the radio show here.
Oh, for here. So
yes.
Then it's always 2 weeks away, so it's the 26th. That's actually the day after Thanksgiving.
Nope, you once a month. So you are, what is today, Friday?
Oh, you mean the second Friday of the month? Yes, the 10th. That would be the 10th of December.
Yes. So okay. So now you can tell your first show with your group is when?
On our group, we're looking at that Sunday. So that would be the Sunday, the 21st. So that would be the Sunday right before Thanksgiving.
Okay. All righty. So Ron will be back with us on Friday, December 10th. And I'm sure he'll let me know before then what our topic is going to be for that day. Thank you, Ron, so much for all of that. That was just great. And everybody listening, you can look forward to seeing Ron's show. It will be posted in the group. Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox. Today is November 12th. So if you are listening to a replay of this show, be sure and catch the live shows. I broadcast on Mondays from 7 to 9, Thursdays and Fridays from 12 to 2. I've had quite a few people asking where they can hear the show after the show is over. This is radio, folks. This is radio. You don't call the radio station and say, hey, when can I see that show? When can I hear that show? Well, you missed it. You got to catch us live. All right. So do you know anyone in Chicago that's always seems to know what events are going on? I'd like to talk to them. If you are a promoter in Chicago and would like to Zoom in on Thursdays to share your upcoming events, please visit my Facebook page, Xavier Fox, to get Zoom info. And my monthly podcast is scheduled for December 5th from 3 to 4 p.m. We will discuss the evolution of relationships. We are going to have the men's point of view and the women's point of view on how dating, relationships, and the view of marriage has changed. It's going to air on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel, Xavier Fox Media. Visit my YouTube channel, Xavier Fox Media, and click subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming podcasts, and you can watch my talk shows and podcasts that you haven't seen yet. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn as Xavier Fox. That's XAVIAFOX, Xavier Fox. My book, The Men in My Life and What I've Learned, is available on Amazon in Kindle format and paperback. You can also purchase an autographed copy on my website, xavierfox.com. Be sure and visit my website for information on all the upcoming shows and events, as well as merchandise such as t-shirts and coffee mugs. Bet you didn't know I had that stuff, huh? So I am signing out till Monday morning talk at 7 to 9 Central Standard Time. That's a.m. And I'll kick off with Gina Lamar Raw. Ooh, Gina and her show. It's going to be a doozy. She's super excited about it. I'm super excited about it. And my special guest on Monday will be Ruben Hopkins of Explore Us TV. And it is where to go. It's for the travelers, where to go in Black America. So he shows you all the Black-owned hotels, restaurants, and all of the other activities and things that Black entrepreneurs have going on across the U.S. He is also the president of the Wisconsin Black Business Chamber. So you don't want to miss it. Make sure you go to the App Store and download this app, Astute Gentleman Cigar Radio. And until Monday, stay safe and be prosperous. And I'm out.
We off?
Friday,